MPs point accusing fingers to TSC over teachers' promotion.
Wengi walitukejeli wakasema haiwezekani. Wengine wakasema eti ni uongo. Leo kwa mapenzi ya Mungu manyumba ni haya.
The slum agenda.
Ruto hands over 1,000+ rental units in Mukuru. And
IEBC vetting hiccups.
Prime CS Musalia accuses Wiper leader Kalonzo of delaying appraisal process.
A cold evening in Nairobi, but we want to warmly welcome you to this live broadcast.
Good evening. Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook and YouTube. Our sign language expert tonight is Susan Thuku.
My name is Mboya.
I am Muchuma Odim.
Straight to our lead story. President William Ruto has dismissed government critics, saying that he will work with leaders who share his vision, hitting at those he says are fanning tribal politics.
Ruto made the remarks during the official handover of 1,080 Mukuru housing units, where he vowed to ensure slum eradication through affordable housing projects across the country.
Now, that's the report that opens our coverage tonight.
President William Ruto on Tuesday presided over the official handover of the 1,080 housing units to beneficiaries at the Mukuru's housing project.
This project before us here is the single largest housing intervention in Kenya's history. Leo, it is a reality that we live when we said that we are going to lift ordinary citizens, people at the bottom of the pyramid.
Spanning 56 acres, the Mukuru Met site is comprising of over 13,000 housing units.
Wengi walitukejeli wakasema haiwezekani. Wengine wakasema eti ni uongo. Leo kwa mapenzi ya Mungu manyumba ni haya. Wenyeji ni wananchi wa kutoka pale chini, kutoka Mukuru, mahali hakuna choo na maji na stima na barabara. Leo wako hapa katika manyumba haya.
It is at this occasion the head of state took a swipe at the government critics, emphasizing that his administration will continue to work with leaders who share the government's vision of transforming it.
And I will work with courageous leaders, people who believe in Kenya, people who believe in the transformation of Kenya, not mere politicians who believe in convenience, who believe in nothing, who believe in retrogressive politics.
Ruto defended his broader coalition allies, signaling out former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for supporting an inclusive approach to governance.
We don't share a vision with the tribalists. We don't share a vision with the haters. We don't share a vision with people who believe in the disunity of our nation.
Sisi hatuendi kwa barabara tena, tuko kwa Rais William Samoei Ruto pamoja na Raila Amolo Odinga. ODM na UDA inafanya kazi pamoja.
Kama mtu wa broad base, Rais 10 bila break.
Speaking in Mukuru, Ruto hailed the progress under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, acknowledging the tough choices it required.
Wakati tulisema bottom up, wengine walikuwa wanafikiri ni hekaya za Abunuasi.
The project includes the construction of at least 13,250 units built, comprising of 26 blocks of bed-sitters, 24 blocks of one-bedroom, which are 70% complete, and 48 blocks of two-bedroom houses, which are 55% complete. Pricing is structured under a rent-to-own model, where bed-sitters cost 3,900 per month, one-bedroom 4,000 Kenya shillings per month, and two-bedroom 5,000 shillings per month.
An estimated additional 2 shillings and 50 cents is generated through supporting businesses, meaning nearly 28 billion has already been infused into the economy through this single project initiative.
The completion of the construction of all the housing units is targeted for March 2026. President William Ruto has vowed that in the next 8 months, another 5,000 residents will be able to be given keys to their brand new homes here at the Mukuru Met site. Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
To an update on that Natembeya story, Tanzania Governor George Natembeya has been freed on a bond of 1 million shillings after pleading not guilty to corruption charges.
Anti-corruption trial magistrate Charles Ondieki ruled that the prosecution did not adduce compelling reasons to warrant the detainment of the governor.
The governor, who denied the 3 offences leveled against him relating to embezzlement of 6 million shillings from the county government of Tanzania County, was, however, barred from accessing his office for a period of 60 days.
Ruth Wamboy with the details.
George Natembeya was arrested on Monday at his Nairobi residence, was charged before Nairobi Anti-Corruption Chief Magistrate. The Director of Public Prosecution through Senior Counsels John Victor Witi and Alex Akula strongly opposes his release on bond, claiming he will intimidate his subordinates, whom they intend to use as witnesses.
Court's jurisdiction, I mean subordinate court's jurisdiction, to enforce Bill of Rights or questions of interpretation relating to Bill of Rights. That jurisdiction is limited to Article 25A and B of the Constitution.
The court was also presented with photographs of vandalized vehicles belonging to EACC and NPS, stating Natembeya through his agents vandalized the vehicles at his Milimani Somi in Kitale town.
Residence of the accused person yesterday when the officers were executing the lawful permit.
However, the defense vehemently opposed the prayer by DPP, citing that this was a political witch hunt to suppress him ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Your Honor, I beg you, do not fall under the trap of saying that you're going to write a ruling another day, should the meantime he remains in custody. Don't allow this man to remain in custody. He's already been punished enough by being put in custody, even for that one night.
It meant that the intended witnesses are subordinates to the governor, the accused person. Again, is not contained anywhere in the affidavit.
The court was also told that the criminal justice system was being abused and the rule of law has been thrown away.
Incompetency is aligned to rights which are fundamental and protected by the Constitution. If that was the case, then that law must be narrowly, and I mean narrowly, tailored to serve a compelling interest.
If we use the power that the courts have, Kenya can easily and very shortly be classified as a banana republic.
Trial Magistrate Charles Sondeki, however, ruled that the prosecution did not present compelling reasons to warrant Natembeya's detainment.
First accused is warned against discussing in public, including in or with the media, the merits or otherwise of this case.
The magistrate set 15 conditions for Natembeya that he must abide by or risk detainment if he violates.
The first accused is prevented from going to his office at the county headquarters for a period of 60 days and undertakes to arrive in the courtroom at least 15 minutes to the appointed time for mention or hearing unless exempted from attending court physically.
Natembeya was arrested in his Nairobi residence on Monday and grilled at the Integrity Center before being processed for charging. The prosecution now has the big task of ensuring that they tabulate the list of witnesses and the bundle of documents to the court. Ruth Wamboy reporting for Milimani's Anti-Corruption Court.
On to that story we highlighted at the beginning of the broadcast. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has accused the opposition leaders, including Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, of delaying the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission vetting process by petitioning the High Court through proxies to stop the vetting process.
The Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary also slammed Martha Karua and allies deported from Tanzania, saying they were handled according to Tanzania's laws.
He spoke during a funeral ceremony in Malava, Kakamega County, as reported by Giverson Minor.
A day after the High Court halted the vetting of the 7 nominees of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi on Tuesday alleged the petitioners acted on orders from the opposition leaders.
They went to court when the first process started. They said they wanted conversation, a dialogue. Dialogue was held. The process has started again. Through proxy, the same fellows are going to court.
Mudavadi, who spoke in a funeral ceremony in Malava, Kakamega County, trained guns on the leaders, including Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, saying they want their allies to be nominated in the electoral body. The petitioners alleged that the process was marred with irregularities, faulting the nomination of Hassan Nur Hassan, who was not shortlisted in the initial process. However, Mudavadi says the IEBC train has left the station.
IEBC, the formalities have been processed, wamesukuma, watu walifanya interview, ikawa in public, ikawa hadharani. A decision has been made. The names are now before Parliament.
The Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi also broke his silence on the deportation of PLP leader Martha Karua and former Chief Justice William Mutunga, among others, from Tanzania.
That, Kenya is a dictatorial, Kenya is what? Wametembea. Wamejaribu kuenda kuleta ile mchezo wanaleta hapa katika mainchi jirani. What has happened?
Mudavadi saying Tanzania acted within its laws.
Kwa hivyo, kama wewe ni mkorofi hapa, na ufikiri utaenda kufanya hivyo huko, my friend, haitawezekana.
He also slammed the insinuation by some politicians that chaos could erupt during the 2027 general elections. In a quick rejoinder, Kalonzo, however, said that the government was planning to rig the election.
Nikawaandikieni barua Raila na Ruto, nikawaambia you cannot appoint IEBC commissioners peke yenu. Amuku nisikiliza. So now, that process which Rigiji was talking about is evident. And all our international friends, all Kenyans and international friends, wanajua as we speak, wanajama ya kuiba hiyo kura.
Kalonzo spoke during a burial in Kadhangu, Kitui County. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Let's now take you to politics. The Orange Democratic Movement Party leader Raila Odinga has called for patience in the budget-making process, maintaining his call for the removal of the National Government Constituency Development Fund kitty from legislators.
The former Prime Minister also stated Odim party was not in government.
Speaking at the 42nd Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya ISPAC conference on Tuesday in Mombasa, ODM party leader Raila Odinga urged for patience in the budget-making process. Further, he revisited his push to scrap the National Government Constituency Development Fund, currently controlled by members of parliament, saying legislators cannot play oversight and implementation roles.
CDF ideally should now, in the devolved system, there's no need for a CDF. CDF should be the responsibility of the county government. Members of parliament are supposed to do three things: representation, legislation, and oversight. They should oversight the national government. How do we oversight the national government when you yourself are also implementing projects?
However, in a quick rejoinder, the National Assembly Budget Committee Chair Kimani Kuria defended the NGCDF kitty, arguing it had a positive impact at the grassroots.
Let us recognize that economic transformation cannot be decreed it must be built. It must be earned through sound governance, credible institutions, and the careful balancing of fiscal responsibility.
And on the question of whether the ODM party was in government.
ODM in government. ODM donated experts to government. But you know, it was just July last year. We are now in May.
Odinga also added his voice to the affordable housing project. Meanwhile, the Orange Democratic Movement has pledged not to interfere in the upcoming Kasipul parliamentary by-election, assuring aspirants of a level playing field in the race for the party ticket.
Itakuwa na mwendo wa uteuzi ambayo itakuwa ya kuteua yule ambaye atapeperusha bendera ya chama chetu cha ODM katika hii constituency. Kwa hivyo watu wasiwe na wasiwasi, wasiwe na pupa.
On to Parliament now, and the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, is on the spot over alleged ethnic and regional bias in the latest round of teachers' promotions conducted in January.
Documents tabled before the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Education laid bare concerns that the promotions disproportionately favored certain communities and regions, raising questions about fairness, transparency, and equity.
More than 25,000 teachers were elevated in the latest promotions, as reported by Gishuki Washira.
Chair, I just need to begin.
The National Assembly Education Committee grilled the Teachers Service Commission, TSC, over the alleged lack of fairness in the recent promotions of teachers. Lawmakers accused the Commission of promoting teachers based on ethnic affiliations and internal influence rather than merit and eligibility.
We asked you, why did you promote others and left others who have been going for interviews 3, 4, 5 times? You have not responded to that.
An analysis of promotions by ethnicity showed that 5 ethnic groups accounted for more than 60% of the 25,252 total promotions. Meanwhile, smaller and marginalized communities received minimal or no representation. Sub-county analysis showed Samburu Central, Lamu West and Tana Delta among those with highest number of promotions. Macharia defended the figures, stating that TSC applied a flexible approach in staffing to address acute shortages, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas.
Mr. Kariuki has been promoted once in 10 years. Then all of a sudden, you run short of teachers to promote. And then you start now promoting every 6 months, some individuals.
And following the promotions, the Commission is in the process of assigning and posting teachers. This process will take into consideration the availability of vacancies, especially for teachers in administrative grades.
Further scrutiny revealed inconsistencies in how the eligibility criteria were applied. Some teachers from underrepresented communities had served in the same grade for up to 7 years without promotion, while over 5,000 others were promoted despite not meeting the minimum required years of service.
What informs this kind of a criteria? Go to Imenti South. Imenti South has 3 times population of Isiolo. If I'm lying, they can provide the data. Imenti South, which has 3 sub-counties.
Macharia explained that the reduction of mandatory 3-year requirement in some cases was meant to fill critical gaps in school leadership. MPs now want TSC to resolve the concerns within the next 7 days. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
Well, that story brings us to a first break here on Prime Edition at exactly, what's the time? 18 minutes past the top of the hour.
And we are just getting started. Stay with us.
Many workers access their retirement benefits when switching jobs, unaware of the impact it has on their future. Taking out your retirement savings too soon reduces the income you will have when you retire, leaving your future less secure. Have you thought about the lifestyle or income you want to retire with? The earlier you start saving, the better. And the more you save, the more secure your future will be. Increase your savings today and live your golden years the way you've always dreamed. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800-720-300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
And we are talking about forgiveness. I know it is not easy. Sometimes people will not come and say sorry, but when we look at the Bible, it's very clear that there is a demand for us even to forgive.
As human beings, we don't know how to forgive, but learning from God, we can forgive. Forgiveness first helps you, ministers to you as a person, because it's like carrying a very heavy load, and when you put it down, there's that moment when you feel.
But what we don't understand, unforgiveness keeps on spreading in us, and it keeps on killing and making us bitter and not even better people.
Welcome back. You're watching Prime Edition.
Our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube.
The government has been challenged to be cautious on excessive borrowing, which risks plunging the country into economic turmoil.
According to Kiharu Lomeka Ndindi Nyoro, all the money collected as taxes should be prudently managed.
But in a quick rejoinder, the Budget and Appropriations Committee Chairperson Samuel Atandi blamed ex-budget chair Ndindi Nyoro for Kenya's current economic strain.
Timothy Kipnosu with that report.
The current debt crisis and borrowing status in the country seem to be drawing a pushback from a section of leaders from the political class. The former chairperson of the Budget and Appropriation Committee in the National Assembly has cautioned against excessive borrowing, saying it risks plunging the country into economic turmoil.
One of the issues that we have to deal with as a country is that deni ya nchi ya Kenya inaongezeka sana. Nchi ya Kenya sasa madeni ni 11.3 trillion Kenya shillings. That we have borrowed for the last few months 1 trillion Kenya shillings. The entire President Kibaki's tenure, he borrowed less than 1.2 trillion Kenya shillings. It means we are borrowing in a few months what Kibaki borrowed in 10 years.
The Kiaru lawmaker further faulted the Treasury for pursuing what he termed as illegal borrowing in the name of securitization without any deliberation or approval by Parliament.
We can play around with everything else, but we cannot afford to play around with the monies that are contributed by the workers of Kenya.
In a rejoinder, the Budget and Appropriation Committee Chairperson Samuel Atandi has blamed the ex-budget chair for Kenya's current economic strain.
So I wanted to challenge my brother Ndindi Nyoro that please, we beseech you to run away from tribal bigotry in sharing of natural resources. It cannot be about one tribe, it cannot be about one region. Allow the country to move on by embracing equitable sharing of public resources so that every part of this region can benefit.
Atandi says reckless borrowing between 2014 and 2022 has pushed the country into a debt crisis, forcing the government to allocate 1 trillion shillings to debt repayment in the next financial year beginning July this year.
Had Uhuru Kenyatta not mismanaged this economy, we would not be talking about 1 trillion being payment to interest payment. So even when people challenge us, when people challenge us and people challenge the government to show what they're doing with public resources, we want to challenge them, especially the people who are in government, the previous regime, that please, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
The Kenya Revenue Authority has so far waived approximately 168 billion shillings in the ongoing tax amnesty campaign.
The taxman is encouraging non-compliant taxpayers to leverage on the amnesty period that ends on the 31st of June to update their records.
On the third leg of the tax services roadshow staged by KRA and its media partner, the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, the caravan took Mukuru by storm as residents were sensitized on the process of taking up the amnesty offer and filing their returns.
Other than the entertainment, the brand hampers given to the hundreds of Kenyans who showed up at the caravan stops. KRA staff assisted non-compliant taxpayers to update their records.
The campaign continues in the western parts of Mukuru County on Wednesday.
We thank the taxpayers so much. In the past 2 weeks since we started this campaign, we have seen a spike in the numbers of the people that are taking advantage of the tax amnesty program, as well as the people that are coming out to file their 2024 tax returns. And we continue to encourage the taxpayers to take advantage of the remaining period. Remember, we have up to 30th of June to ensure that we file the returns of the year 2024, where you are filing your returns, if it is from your employment income, your business income. We encourage you so much to ensure that you file your returns by the due date, which is the 30th of June.
A majority of Kenyans do not enjoy land tenure security despite comprehensive land reforms since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution.
This is according to land stakeholders who singled out rampant cases of fraud in the issuance of title deeds and exclusion on the basis of gender as main threats to land ownership rights in the country.
Joseph Wahungu reports.
Delegates and players in the land sector are meeting in Nairobi for the 4th Regional Research Conference convened by the National Land Commission. With the theme taking stock of land reform progress in Kenya, the 3-day conference has sparked robust discussions on land injustices and the challenges that continue to impede reform efforts.
Today we gather not only to take stock, but to ask hard questions on going forward. 1. Are we truly on the path to equitable land access for all? 2. What lessons have we learned and what needs to be done to ensure a just, inclusive and sustainable land for Kenya and for all Kenyans?
Despite notable reforms over the years, speakers at the conference expressed concerns that historical land injustices, weak enforcement of land laws, and lack of land security tenure continue to hinder equitable land access.
Insecure land rights is actually a threat to our sustainable development. It's a threat to building resilient societies and communities.
We are talking of land reforms, ensuring that all our laws are in tandem with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. But we have a 1960 Survey Act, which everything in the titling process will not be completed without this work of a surveyor.
Officers at the Ministry of Land also came under sharp scrutiny for allegedly perpetuating fraud during issuance of title deeds, while the National Lands Commission found itself on the receiving end for not compensating landowners justly.
The issue of fraud has become even more and more problematic, and it is one of the biggest challenges when we are talking about land governance and security of tenure. This fraud, mostly, more than 90% is perpetuated by the people at the Ministry of Lands.
Stakeholders also highlighted the role of research in influencing policy, with calls to integrate more grassroots data and traditional knowledge systems in land governance. Joseph Ohungu for Prime Edition.
From the security or lack of land tenure security, we move on now to Crime Watch.
Police in Kakamega County have launched investigations into the death of 2 men who were brutally murdered on Tuesday night in Lurambi constituency.
A night guard at the petrol station is reported to have been attacked and killed by unknown assailants, while in a separate incident, the mutilated body of a middle-aged person was found dumped by the roadside at Shimalavandu shopping center, just a few kilometers apart.
The death of two middle-aged men within the same area in Lurambi, Kakamega County on Tuesday night has left locals in grief amid queries over the motive of the deaths. According to locals, a night guard at a local petrol station was attacked and killed by robbers in the late-night ambush while in line of duty.
Sio vizuri utovu wa usalama unakuwa katika eneo hili ya Mayakala. Tumekuwa kwa muda mrefu visa kama hivi hajakuwa vikifanyika, na ni jambo la kuhuzunisha kwamba police station iko hapa na mtu anauliwa hapa bila hata au wenyewe kuondoka katika kituo chao cha polisi.
Just a few kilometers away, another mutilated body of a middle-aged man was discovered dumped by the roadside. Witnesses say the body had signs suggesting that it was dumped on the road before being ran over multiple times.
Hii mambo yote yanafanyika kwa sababu ya maaskari kuwa lenient. Yaani wamekuwa watu wengine wenye hawezi chukua majukumu, wanaona mwizi, wanaacha.
Confirming the two incidents, Kakamega Police Commander Vincent Cherutich assured residents that investigations are underway.
Tuna still tafuta leads kidogo na tujaribu kama pengine katika hiyo sehemu kutakuwa na CCTV cameras kwa one of the houses so that it can lead us kiazi.
In a separate incident in Migori County, residents of Getonganya in Kuria West Sub-County are living in fear following a spate of violent attacks. The latest incident occurred on Tuesday night when suspected thugs ambushed residents, leaving 2 people with gunshot wounds and 5 others nursing machete injuries.
Wakati narudi nigeuke nikimbia kwenda pande ile, nikastukia tena wananichapa pande hii mguu wa kulia, ikaingia hapa kwa spinal cord. Walikuwa majambazi 5, walikuwa na bunduki 2 na
Locals have accused police of laxity and failing to contain the growing threat posed by criminal gangs.
Baada imeisha kabisa kwamba kumetulia, watu mpaka wamefika hospitalini wanatibiwa, ndio maaskari wanafika. Unaona? Kwa sababu wanafikaga hata ni 3 late, hata sio too late.
Martini Maslin for Prime Edition.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has recognized the winners of its annual ESA Championship.
The competition aims to promote national unity among the youth and also offers steps towards building a cohesive and peaceful nation.
All the 47 counties were represented in the competition, as reported by Marie Yambo.
The essay competition received 715 entries across 2 categories, Kiswahili and English, representing all 47 counties. The winners were awarded trophies for their contributions to the competition, which focused on promoting peace. These students, chosen from various educational levels, shared a common vision for a peaceful and united Kenya.
The essay was about how CBOs, community-based organizations, can enhance national integration because people can relate because it's a community, it's among the community.
I wrote, if only the Gen Z protest and the government had mediation skills which they could sit down at a table and solve their issues, there could be no pouring of blood on the streets that we experienced last year in June.
Many parents encouraging their peers to allow their children to participate in such competitions.
They should encourage them to join the Amani Club, and even because they are going to preach about the peace in the country and even Amani, because that's what we need for us to go ahead as a country.
The winners are members of their school's Amani Club, an initiative by NCIC and the Ministry of Education, a platform that aims to instill patriotism among the youth, combating negative ethnicity, hate speech and violence.
We can help promote peace to our fellow peers at school. I've learned that leadership can also start when you are young.
Speaking at the event, NCIC Chairperson Reverend Samuel Kobia praised the students for their remarkable essays, highlighting their efforts demonstrated the power of young people in driving national transformation.
You have a character that is not selfish, but that is an outgoing concern for the lasting good of your neighbor. That is the only time that we would say then we do have
a Kenya that is diverse, that is peaceful, and that is united.
Mariambo reporting for the Prime Edition.
On to other developments, Tom.
Yes, over 1,000 families living near Lake Naivasha face displacement after water levels started rising, flooding tens of homes for the third time in 5 years.
Some of the schools and farms in the area have also been affected, hence disrupting the residents' livelihoods.
Here now is that report.
With the subtle rise of Lake Naivasha, the effects are felt by the residents living near the water body. The most affected is Kihoto Estate, where homes have been marooned, forcing some of the families to relocate to neighboring estates. For the residents of the estate, this is not the first time they are facing the natural phenomena. 3 years ago, half of the estate was submerged by the rising lake waters.
Tumekuwa na shida sana, ni kwa sababu wakati yale maji yanakuja yanaathiri manyumba. Mkiangalia ni ya kwamba inabidi tubebe watoto kwa migongo ili kuwatoa kwa maji wakati wanaelekea shuleni.
Na hakuna mahali ambapo mtu anapoweza kwenda kwa sababu ya hali ya uchumi ambao tuko nao. Na kwa hivyo inatupasa tu wengi wetu tukae kwa maji.
The residents are also living in fear of a disease outbreak after latrines and boreholes in the estate were submerged.
Kwa ajili choo zimejaa, nayo maji ambayo tunatumia ni ya mashimo. Kwa hivyo yamefurika. Kwa hivyo mnaona ile shida inaweza kuwa na ile mkurupuko wa magonjwa.
Kuna hatari hata ya kushikwa na magonjwa kama ya kolera kwa sababu maji icho na maji inashikana hivi, na kwa hivyo kunakuwa environment imeharibika kabisa.
According to Nakuru County Chief Officer for Public Health Joyce Nsese, who spoke on phone, a directive has been issued to those living near the lake to relocate. The residents are now constructing dikes around the lake to divert the floods. These, as weatherman predicts, a continuous heavy downpour in the area in the next 5 days. Teresa Mutai for Prime Edition.
In a world where news is ever-changing, staying informed is more important than ever.
Join us every week on News Check, your go-to show for the latest in current affairs, breaking news and in-depth analysis.
A warm welcome to KBC News Check.
From politics to global events, we bring you content that matter to you.
We're not just speaking about the governance and how we want to see it, but want to actually participate.
Get your facts, hear from the experts, and really understand what is happening around you.
We need to change our system first.
You have to do the impossible to make sure the message is home.
Stay ahead, stay informed, stay engaged.
Will these people, everybody agree?
Just listen to me.
Let's give him a chance to clear the air.
Catch News Check every Tuesday and Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Only on KBC Channel 1.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations. It's art, it's culture, movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed. We are such a vibe. Y254. Imagine.
Welcome back to Prime Edition, our socials at KBC Channel 1 on X, YouTube, and Facebook. Tom, take us to the counties.
That's right. There has been increased cases of sexual abuse being linked to minors in Uasin Gishu County.
Experts say they are also seeing increased incidences of teenagers engaging in sexually harmful behavior.
This was revealed during the ongoing public participation conducted by the Technical Working Group on Gender-Based Violence.
Now, this and more stories in our county news roundup.
Experts are pointing to a number of factors that are leading to the increased cases of sexual abuse, including social media pressures and exposure to inappropriate content at a young age. Delayed justice for victims of gender-based violence and lenient sentences was also cited as part of the setbacks in combating violence.
We have an increasing case of young boys, young men being the perpetrators of defilement, which should then that tells us then that we should have maybe this discussion not just at home but also in the schools.
Elsewhere, the national government has resumed the construction of the Kadel-Pala-Kanyadiang Road in Homa Bay County, a project that had stalled for 6 years. Governor Gladys Wanga, who visited the construction site, said the project will enhance access and boost economy.
This is a road that is of great concern to the people of Karachuan. We'd like the contractor to do some maintenance ahead of works, and we hope that that can be start as early as today.
And the Mandera County government, through the Ministry of Education and Human Capital Development, has officially launched a new set of early childhood development teaching and learning materials aimed at transforming early learning through a play-based and child-centered approach.
And we realize that there is a lot of advantage for those children who have benefited from Luxi Madrasa integration.
And the High Court in Machakos will, on November 27, 2025, rule on a petition challenging the constitutionality of the Seed and Plant Variants Act, Cap 326 of 2012, and the Seeds and Plant Varieties Seeds Regulations 2016. Farmers argue that the act criminalizes the use of indigenous seeds, a practice deeply rooted in traditional farming.
Tuna imani kubwa hii kesi lazima tutashinda, kwa sababu hakuna mtu ana ruhusa ya kuimiliki mbegu, kwa sababu hata huyo mtu ni mbegu. Kwa hivyo hakuna mtu anastahili kusema mbegu ni zake, azuilie wale wengine kuzitumia. Kwa hivyo,
finally, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development has been lauded for including financial literacy in the curriculum, noting this will encourage a saving culture in learners from an early age.
Kutoka darasa la kwanza, by the time mtoto anaingia shule, anaanza kufunzwa mambo kidogo kidogo ya mambo ya kuwekeza pesa. Hii tunaona itakuwa na impact kubwa sana. By the time generation hii ingine inaenda kufika, itakuwa inaelewa mambo ya pesa na haitakuwa jambo geni sana kama vile saa hii.
Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
On to the day's business. The Communications Authority of Kenya plans to spend 40 billion shillings over the next 5 years to expand access to digital services across undeserved, and remote regions of the country.
Communications Authority Board Chair Mary Mungai says this is part of the vision to eliminate Kenya's digital divide by expanding ICT infrastructure to enhance institutional capacity for sustainable service delivery.
Approximately 59.2% of the population remains unconnected to the internet, a digital divide particularly pronounced in rural and marginalized areas where infrastructure challenges and limited access to digital services hinder connectivity. The Communications Authority of Kenya's Universal Service Fund Strategy 2023-2027 now aims to address this gap by investing 40 billion shillings over the next 5 years to expand ICT infrastructure, enhance digital literacy and ensure equitable access to digital services across the country.
Fairly big proportion of this country was not able to access voice or data, and yet they must, as Kenyans, just like you all do, most of the time now you look at everybody, they are looking at their phone. Imagine your brothers and sisters out there who don't even know that actually exists.
The government is on an ambitious mission to put Kenya on the next frontier of digital connectivity by connecting schools, hospitals, government offices and business to high-speed internet, ensuring seamless service delivery. At the same time, we are investing in digital skill, equipping our youth, who are our greatest asset, with the tools to thrive in the digital world and support Kenyans' quest to be a leader in the ICT landscape.
Since 2017, the Universal Service Fund has connected nearly 800,000 people to mobile networks and 880 secondary schools with internet, and also upgraded libraries into e-resource hubs.
Our main aim as the Communication Authority is to enable these telcos reach areas where they cannot use a lot of resources. So we provide the infrastructure and they come and they provide the services.
The 40 billion shillings plan will rely heavily on public-private partnerships and collaboration with county governments. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Let me have the CA board members present, and let me have the use.
From the digital gap to COMESA seeds, Kenya and other common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA member states have been advised to increase budgetary allocations to seed systems.
Alliance for Commodity Trade in Eastern and Southern Africa Chief Executive Officer John Mukuru says that the trading bloc has an annual of 1.3 billion shillings clean seed funding gap that has increased the region's agricultural imports.
Benson Rioba with that report.
Kenya's exports to COMESA member states reduced 26% to 77.5 billion shillings in 2024. Imports also declined 3.3% to 86.6 billion shillings during the same period. COMESA blames the declining trade among its member states on poor seed systems that has reduced agriculture production, thus increasing food imports from non-member states. Experts say the COMESA bloc has 1.3 billion shillings seed system funding gap, urging more budgetary allocations to bridge the deficit.
To make sure that the seed system is operational, in all the 21 COMESA member states, we need more than 10 million per year to undertake that.
We must embrace modern seed production techniques, adopt innovations in biotechnology, and strengthen our regulatory capacity to oversee the entire seed value chain.
Member states have been encouraged to ratify COMESA's regional certification and regional seed label to ease border passage of seeds across the trading bloc.
We have only got 120 variety seeds on the COMESA regional catalog. We need to have more than that. If we can triple that, I think that would be good for the countries, because farmers can access good seeds.
KFIS is happy to use the COMESA seed labels, a key feature that will enhance traceability, transparency, and trust in the seed supply chain.
COMESA is set to benefit from a 1 billion shillings EU funding to strengthen the seed value chain. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Asset financer Mogo has expanded its footprint after launching 22 new branches across 16 counties.
Mogo says the expansion focuses on underserved and high-demand areas, particularly in western, northern, and coastal Kenya.
Here's that report by Betty Kipto.
A recent report by research firm Vifa Consult titled The New Border Boom reveals that border riders using asset-financed motorcycles earn an average of 1,100 shillings per day, equating to approximately 26,400 shillings monthly or 316,000 annually. This contrasts with riders who lease motorcycles, often paying at least 300 shillings daily with no path to ownership, which limits their financial progression. With this demand for financing, players such as Mogo are providing flexible financing options that align with the rider's cash flow. This approach is enabling thousands of operators to move from renting to ownership.
This was informed by their strategic plans and also the demand from the clients. And I can confirm that, yes, we are now expanding in western region of Kenya. We are expanding in northern region, that is central region, and also eastern region.
The firm says it is focusing on hiring locally in its expansion to ensure that employees have a strong understanding of the customer in order to tailor solutions that meet their needs.
We have already hired more than 200 local staffs from the localities. We are opening the branches, as I mentioned, that is western region, northeastern, eastern and central. Why locals? At the end of the day, to make sure Mogo gives a customized customer experience.
Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
Financial institutions have been encouraged to offer agri-specific financial innovations that will enable farmers access improved inputs and acquire better on-farm practices so as to increase production.
Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says rather than viewing agriculture as a high risk, financial institutions should see it as a high impact opportunity that contributes to the overall resilience of the agricultural systems in the face of climate change and other challenges.
Now, Nduta Mukami with the details on this.
Kenya has lagged behind in achieving the Maputo Declaration to allocate at least 10% of the national budget to agriculture. Currently, Kenya's current annual budget of 60 billion shillings to the sector has proven insufficient to ensure sustainable food and crop production. In order to bridge the funding gap, Kagwe says farmers need reasonable financing options that will enable them better manage risks and maintain steady farm production.
We have to lend at low interest rates and encourage our clients to adopt modern farming methods by embracing technology.
Additionally, plans are underway to recapitalize the Agriculture Finance Corporation as a means to enhance its capacity to meet the credit, liquidity, and price stabilization needs of the agriculture sector.
But we must urge our financial institutions to be more creative and alive to the intricacies of farming as a business, innovative. Acknowledge that the existence of farming and crop cycles means that farming is not a very high return business, possibly.
Kagwe emphasized that successful agricultural transformation would necessitate collaboration among governments, financial institutions, and the private sector, as well as a strong digital and data-driven ecosystem.
Finalizing the policy and legal framework on agricultural financing and subsidy management, a game changer in managing risk, allocating subsidies transparently, and expanding private sector participation. And my end goal is putting more money in the farmer's pocket.
Nduta Mukami for Prime Edition.
Penalties and interests resulting from tax system-related errors will in 6 months be waived by the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary if the Finance Bill 2025 is enacted into law in its current form.
This is a reprieve for taxpayers who are being shielded from being unfairly penalized due to technical faults within the Kenya Revenue Authority systems.
Taxpayers have been raising concerns about the efficiency and fairness of the Kenya Revenue Authority's digital tax systems. With a shift toward online platforms such as iTax and the tax invoice management system, both individuals and corporate taxpayers have at times found themselves slapped with penalties and interest charges due to system-related errors beyond their control. It is against this backdrop that the proposed reinstatement of the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary's powers to waive penalties and interest arising from system errors marks a significant policy shift in the Finance Bill 2025. Although the implementation of this measure has been deferred until January 2026, the proposal has been welcomed as a step toward shielding taxpayers from penalties caused by system failures outside taxpayers' control. Currently, to have the penalties and interests waived, an aggrieved taxpayer is supposed to write to the Commissioner General of the Kenya Revenue Authority, attaching all supporting documents and evidence justified. To qualify for the waiver, the taxpayer is also required to be tax compliant on all other taxes and have settled the principal tax. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
And that wraps up the business segment. And coming up,
business news is done, so we are having Bernardo Coach with the sports news. Stay with us.
Stay with us.
Bado unaendelea kuomba ama uliacha?
Tunasikitika. Sasa watoto wamejua kila kitu.
I am not proud, Mark. So what has pride to do with this?
Baba Felix, unataka nini hasa?
Kwani baba hapa?
Wewe si uliahirisha mkutano yako. Tuongea tu.
No, Musa.
Nimesema tuongea baadaye.
I refuse to be treated like a refugee in my own.
Kwa nyumba ya ndugu yako.
You have 3 meetings.
Just cancel all of them.
Nimeona Dan.
Where? Amesema ningie job kesho. Ngware, mapema.
Wewe, hapa ndo ulikuja kazi?
Madam,
Can you go back to the office right now? Why do you keep defending Agnes?
Nilidhani nina shida ndogo ndogo lakini zako ni kubwa sana. I'm in trouble. Kachumbari si mboga na haipashi moto. Do you know that I can sue you for defamation? I mean dissertation. What did that guy say?
You and Dan had a relationship?
All I did was save Dan's life.
Can you do your dirty work without getting my people into your messes?
The law will handle the rest.
Nini naendelea hapa? Dan.
And it is time for the latest from the world of sports with me, Bernard Okumu. And we begin with athletics, where the Ministry of Sports has allocated 300 million Kenya shillings for the organization of the 6th Keino Classic, which will be held at Ulinzi Sports Complex on the 31st of this month.
This was announced by the Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, Salim Mvurya, during today's launch, where he also assured that the ongoing preparations at the Ulinzi Sports Complex will be complete by this Saturday ahead of the Gold Tour meet, which will be the 6th stop this year in the World Athletics Category A events.
I also want to confirm to Athletics Kenya and Kenyans in general that we have already committed to spend 300 million for this event, which we have already approved.
This year's edition has been divided into national, discretionary and core events and has attracted a total of 189 athletes, among them 59 Kenyans.
It's going to be big like last year. We have many athletes that will be participating from different parts of the world. Despite the fact that we have so many competitions worldwide, there's so much interest from different parts of the world that they want to come and run in the country. Not only that, or city, because when they come from parts of the world, especially the US, they get an opportunity to learn this country, to learn the culture, and also to visit one of the unique parks in Nairobi, the only one in the world where a city has a national park.
In partnership with Athletics Kenya and your ministry, Waziri, we are committed to ensuring our dominance in athletics remains. We will use sports as a driver of national progress, and I urge other like-minded partners to join us in this journey.
Top European sprinters will also be in action, among them the 2019 world bronze medalist in 200 meters, Mujinga Kambuji of Switzerland, and the 2016 Olympic javelin champion, Thomas Rochler from Germany.
And Ulinzi meets the expectations that are expected, you know, the standards, and where the standards are a little bit low, by Saturday everything will be complete. And therefore we have no reason to panic.
Two-time world champion Anderson Peters from Grenada and reigning hammer throw world champion Ethan Kazabag from Germany will also compete in the Keino Classic.
When we had the first athletes from the United States, from Jamaica and other parts of the world, particularly in Eastern Europe, they came to Kenya, and the words they were giving is that they have always heard about Kenya.
The one-day event was moved from the Nyayo National Stadium to Ulinzi Sports Complex due to ongoing renovations.
Elsewhere, the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, ADAK, has reiterated its commitment to strengthening the fight against doping in sports. Now, the Anti-Doping Agency, in a move to rally federations in the fight for a clean sport, is holding a 2-day seminar that has brought together representatives from 30 sports federations, with key focus being to share the knowledge required to the athletes on staying off cheating.
The seminar taking place here in Nairobi is part of the ADAK's continued efforts to promote integrity and fair play in Kenyan sport.
It is very important that we have the federation signing up to the rules. It is important that the federations work with the agency in terms of implementing the requirements of the code, and it is therefore important that we get serious engagements with them just to check as to their compliance levels, to also bring them to speed as to what is required.
Officials say the focus is on building a strong foundation of awareness and education, starting with the federation and filtering down to the grassroots level. Over the 2 days, federation leaders will be taken through modules on anti-doping rules, the dangers of banned substances, and ethical sportsmanship. Once the seminar concludes, each federation is expected to roll out localized training and awareness campaigns in their regions. Kenya, a country renowned for its athletics prowess, has had its fair share of doping challenges.
We're calling upon the athletes to continue staying clean and winning light, because it is very important that we defend the integrity of sports in this country. We make sure that every one of us is doing what is required of us.
ADAK says education and early interventions are key to safeguarding the future of the sport.
And the Kenya Communications and Sports Organization, KECOSO, has amended its constitution to align with the Sports Act. This move makes KECOSO the 16th sports organization in the country to meet the requirements of the legislation. The ratification took place during its annual general meeting held Tuesday at the Nyayo National Stadium.
The Kenya Communication Sports Organization Management endorsed the newly amended constitution to comply with the Sports Act.
The importance of this document is that it's going to give us a leeway on how we can access, partner with other members, bring in other sports organizations or institutions, and even look for funds.
The step positions KECOSO as a complaint body under the Sports Act, joining 15 other sports organizations that have made similar changes. The leadership believes the move will open up new opportunities for the development and partnerships.
The first time we are going to have a document that really governs how we operate. It's been a long time coming, but the fact that we are going to have a constitution, this will really now give us a backing in how we run the daily operations here at KECOSO.
The AGM also laid the groundwork for KECOSO's future initiatives aimed at boosting sports activities within the communication sector and enhancing regional cooperations.
We have already identified the venues that are going to host the games. The only game that probably will not be held in Embu is the game of golf. We are still exploring whether to have a golf tournament either in Nyeri County or in Thika. But all the other games, we have already identified the venues, and preparations for the games are in top gear. We've been having meetings with the county government officials who have been very, very supportive towards hosting this year's games.
This year's KECOSO games will be held in August in Embu County.
And to basketball now, where Nairobi City Thunder lost their third successive Basketball Africa League Nile Conference matches after losing by half a basket, 74-75, to South Africa's Med by Basketball MBB at BK Arena in Kigali, Rwanda. MBB were first off the blocks, winning the first quarter 22-15, but Thunder, inspired by the mercurial Tyler Ongwae, rallied from behind to win the second period 18-10 to take a 33-32 halftime lead. Thunder continued from where they had left it in the third period, which they emphatically bagged 27-18. MBB clawed their way back into the game in the fourth quarter, spurred by the enterprising forward Peter Prinsloo to win the period 25-14, narrowly edging out Thunder 75-74. Now the win was MBB's first in the BAL Nile Conference matches, while Thunder, under the guidance of head coach Bradley Ebbs, was left searching for their first victory. The defeat leaves Thunder with the mountain to climb in the remaining three fixtures, which they must win to revive their chances of qualifying for the Basketball Africa League final playoffs scheduled for Pretoria in South Africa. That's next month. They face Al Ahly Tripoli on Thursday before playing MBB again on Saturday. They will wind up their campaign against APR of Rwanda on Sunday. The two top teams at the conclusion of the round-robin matches will qualify for the 12-team BAL playoff finals.
Another three. Any foul, it goes out. 3-point shot goes in. Oh! It's a killer blow! It's a killer blow for our palm. Hits the 3. 2 seconds left to play. The shot goes up. Tyler Onway. MVP has done it. Oh my! This is just extraordinary. The Ugandan shooter from the corner hitting a 3.
And MBB with the buzzer beater, they are edging out the Kenya's reigning basketball Premier League champions, Nairobi City Thunder. And to soccer now, where reigning Football Kenya Federation Premier League champions Gor Mahia sacked their head coach Sinisa Mihic after just 3 months in charge. In a statement on X, Gor say they have parted company with Croatian via a mutual agreement. Frederick Mwoki has the details.
Sinisa Mihic, 48-year-old, joined Kogalo in Feb this year, assuming the reins from Zedekiah Ziko Otieno, who had held the position on an interim basis. The former assistant manager at four-time Kuwaiti Premier League champions Al Samia took charge of Kogalo in 14 league matches, winning 8, drawing 5 times and lost twice. His reign at Kogalo has been characterized with constant rankles with his 2 assistants Zico and Michael Nam. The Croatian at one time expelled the duo from training sessions before the intervention of club chair Ambros Rachier to reconcile the trio. He also stormed off the Dandora Stadium during Gor's 1-1 draw with Sofapaka on April 19th, reportedly angered by the substitutions made by assistants during the game in which he was serving on 1-match touchline ban. His last game in charge was Sunday's 1-1 draw with Murangasil in Muranga. Gor lie third on the log with 54 points with a game in hand and 7 points adrift of leaders Kenya Police, boast 61. Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
And thank you, Mwoki, with the latest from Kogalo firing Sinisa Mihic. That means that Michael Nam and Zedekiah Ziko Otieno take charge for the remainder of the matches this season. Across the borders, Brighton beat Liverpool 3-2 to move to this 8th position in the English Premier League while boosting their hopes of qualifying for the UEFA Conference League matches next season.
Liverpool took the lead early in the first half with Harvey Elliott scoring the first goal in the 9th minute.
Out to the right and is cushioned beautifully into the path of Bradley, and Bradley beyond a dinger. Can he pick out a teammate? Brilliant from Bradley. 1-0 Liverpool.
Brighton responded 23 minutes later, equalising through Yassine Ayari.
Ball as well. Ayari in. Brilliant finish.
Liverpool's Dominic Szoboszlai scored the Reds' second just before halftime.
Szoboszlai.
Brighton turned up the heat in the second half, scoring 2 goals after Kaoru Mitoma scored in the 69th minute and Jack Hinchelwood in the 85th minute. Today, Manchester City will host Bournemouth at the Etihad, while Wolves will travel to London to face Crystal Palace.
That's an emphatic win, comeback win for Brighton. And of course, there are a couple of matches ongoing, kicking off at 10 p.m. East Africa time. We'll be able to give you all the details from the results. That's in our subsequent bulletins tomorrow. That's it from the sports desk. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kuma. Hand you back to Tom and Irene Muchuma for the closure of today's edition.
Thank you very much, Coach, for that update. Well, we have to go now.
Thank you for your feedback on our social media platforms. That's KBC Channel 1 on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Quick acknowledgements. And Tom, today we have quite a number of people who have reacted on the housing project, one that took place in Mukuru Konjenga, Rafael Makoha, Alex Ndiema, Josephat Langat, Esa Id, Michael Cheriot. I could go on and on and on, but we thank you for your time and for your feedback. My name is Muchuma Odim. Our sign language expert tonight is Susan Tuku.
And I'm Tom Mboya. We'll do this again all over next week on Monday and Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. Good night from Nairobi, Kenya.
say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.